want to bring great engineers and basically to have another option for companies to build their team. Because it's not like we want to replace any existing employee, because this is not the situation right now. They just need more.
Welcome to our series entitled the IAM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm pumped up and excited as I welcome tonight. I'm going to be joined by none other than the CEO and co-founder of IAMOPS, DEVOPS for Startups. This is going to be your very first episode for season 2 in 2022. Please welcome Eyal Ahimas. Eyal, how are you?
Hello. I'm fine, May. Thank you for having me in this great podcast.
We have been dying to have you. Okay. So first, before we dive deep into the product, tell us about yourself. Give us a quick overview, the career background. How did you get started?
Okay, so very quickly, my name is Eyal Ahimas. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IAMOPS, DEVOPS for Startups. Me and my partner, Roy, co-founded this company 2 years ago. And basically, the goal of this company is to enlarge and to expand the available engineers for the Israeli market. Okay, we'll drill down into it maybe later. A little bit about me. I'm 35 years old. I have 2 daughters, married to Lior, and we work in Tel Aviv, but originally I'm from the north of Israel. I'm coming from a background of basically finance and operations, and my partner is coming from the background of the DevOps, Roy. Together, basically, we met like 2 years ago. We started speaking about his business, my business, and we decided that it would be a good idea to merge our ventures and to go together to a new journey in order to build the IAMOPS together.
Okay. Talk to us about the Israeli tech. You mentioned about what's happening in the Israeli tech.
Yes. So basically, we cannot say post-corona, right? Because we are still in the middle of COVID. But let's say that after the first shock that the global market had during when the pandemic basically started with around March 2020, like now we feel at least the first part of the after effect of basically this pandemic in the economic aspect of it. And when we speak about the high tech in Israel, it is like in a growth that it has never had been before. The amount and the volume of investment that Israeli companies are raising during the last year was enormous. We are talking about financial rounds that we've never seen here before. As an example, we spoke like 3 days ago with an entrepreneur who is basically shared with us that 9 years ago in his first company, he raised a seed round of $250,000. That was basically like the benchmark for seed round, right? You used to raise $250,000 by a valuation of $1 million. Okay, that was like a common benchmark. And today, in 2021, I mean 1 year ago, they raised a seed round of $25 million. That is 100 times more than what they raised like 10 years ago. So of course, not all seed rounds today are that big. There are even bigger seed rounds, but let's say the majority of them are smaller. But still, this is like one way to see how the industry had changed. Now that has many different, it impacts basically the industry in many different ways. When there is so much money and there are so many more companies, Also, they need much more employees, right? They need a larger amount of workforce. And if they don't have this amount of engineers, eventually they will not be able to execute the work plan. And we're starting to see that this is happening. So basically there is a lot of money, companies raise a lot of money, but eventually they can't recruit the team members to execute what they promised to their investors. And we see different companies that it is easier to see it like in publicly traded companies. For example, Kaltura, it's a good example that we saw lately in the news, that there is a lot of money, let's say in this SPAC structure that we see now in the industry. But gradually you start seeing that they are not able to execute the work plans. And we are just in the middle of this prosperity phase, and let's see what will happen in the next year, next 2 years, when company which raise a lot of money from investors will need basically to prove and to show what if they did succeeded in execute and to deliver what they promised at the beginning.
So your vision, talk to us about what you envision IAMOPS will be.
Yeah, I envision that IAMOPS will be the biggest and most significant bridge between Israeli companies and Indian engineers. If you want to make it like very clear and straightforward, we want to expand, as I mentioned, the available engineers to Israeli companies, to Israeli executives, to Israeli founders. And we want to bring great engineers and basically to have another option for companies to build their team. Because it's not like we want to replace any existing employee, because this is not the situation right now. They just need more. See every day, we meet every day companies and founders that basically it's not like they want to replace someone. It's just like they have open positions that they need to staff, and they have no one basically, no engineer out there available that is available to staff these positions. And we will basically build another pool of options of engineers available for these founders and executives.
Okay, like leveraging the talent pool. But why India? Have you been there, or how well do you know India? How was the experience? Have you worked with them?
Yes, first of all, we've been there. Why India? First, India is about to be the biggest country in the world. By 2027, it will pass China in terms of population. And unlike China, Indians do speak English, and they are much more accessible to the Western world than China. So basically, India is like the biggest pool engineers available in the world, actually. So the higher education system, okay, the universities in India generates 1 million engineers every year. That is an amount of engineers that we cannot even grasp here in Israel. Here in Israel, I think that we produce something like 16,000 engineers per year, okay, available to the market. And when we speak about India, we are talking about 1 million engineers per year. So when you have that amount of engineers available, you want to understand, maybe I can work with some of them. And then when we started checking this option 2 years ago, we understood that this is a very complex and very significant challenge, and that we want to explore it more. We understood that from one side, there is a significant potential. There is a large amount of engineers who are very talented, with extremely good English and very communicative and very much motivated, and who are also very similar to us, okay? I mean, to a young engineer who basically, 25 years old engineer from Israel. And that was in the controversy of what I think the average Israeli think about Indian engineers. We understood that, okay, there is a big potential here that we want to explore and we want to understand it better. On the other hand, we also understood that there is a big challenge because when you need to face, when you're facing a population of 1 million engineers, let's say, okay, although it is much more that are available for you to hire, you also need to screen them and you need to understand, okay, how do I screen these applicants? When you are screening someone from Israel, or from your local market, basically in like 1 minute, you can all, from looking at his CV, you can pretty much understand if you want to proceed with him or her or not, because you can see by the university that they studied, and you can see where they served in the military, and you can see their previous places that they worked, the companies. And by that, you can pretty much position this candidate if he's like a strong candidate or an average candidate or a weak candidate. But when you're looking at a country which you are not familiar with, who has like 1,000 universities, okay, and 1.5 billion people, and it is so big, so it is really a much more difficult challenge. In that aspect, we can also mention the fact that communication is extremely important. Now, India is not like, one small country with one language, and people speak different languages between different countries, and their accent is different. Some has English, which is very similar to someone who was born and raised in the UK, because basically they also learned in high school, like their main medium was English. And some of them, it is much more difficult to understand because they have a very strong accent, which make it much more difficult to communicate with. So you also need to understand where exactly you want to focus your recruiting efforts. All of these things together made us realize that on the one hand, there is a huge potential. On the other hand, there is a huge challenge. And if we will basically solve this challenge and we'll face it and we will successfully overcome this challenge, we will be able to realize this potential and to connect and to become the bridge that we want to be between the Indian engineers market and the Israeli high-tech market.
Okay, so you talked to us about the advantage of communication. Well, so is that your perception? I mean, before you worked with or before you went to India, or how did your perception change when you personally worked with them, when you saw them, when you went there, and how did it help the recruitment process?
Oh, it's a great question. So I think there were like two sides for it. Okay. One side is when you go in Delhi, in the big cities, as you see India and you experience India as a backpacker, as someone who is like traveling India and exploring it. And then you see, on the one hand, the extreme poverty that unfortunately exists there. You see the differences between different classes in India, and you see the amount of people that are out there, and it really shocked at the beginning. And I said, wow, I mean, okay, it is different from what I see when I speak with people in Zoom. It's not the same, and now I see the actual India, and I understand when we are off the Zoom call with the applicant or the employee, I know where they are going outside, and I know also their environment. So this is one side of India that you experience when you go there. The other part of it was basically our team, okay? And we went to the office and we met our team, and They even invited us to their houses, and we ate like dinners with them and with their family. And of course, that there are big differences, between how our lives look like with our families and with our friends, and our team's life with their families. But eventually, when you start a conversation with them, you see the similarity. Okay, you see that we are all after the same things. We both want to build a better life for ourselves, for our family. We both grasp the essence of a better life the same way. Okay, so when we all share these same values, basically, you understand that this is what will enable you eventually to work together, because eventually we are all after achieving professional progress, professional growth, personal progress, personal growth, financial progress and growth. We all want also the ability to balance between work and life with our families, and all of these things together. This is something that we also experience in our latest visit in India, and I think that the combination of these two things is again another reflection of on one hand, the opportunity and the potential that exists in this young generation, of engineers that we work with on the one hand, and the challenge, because and the challenge is India, such a big country, such a diverse country, and in which we need to operate, and we need to find and to headhunt these people that share the same values with us, who are stronger and who have the ability to learn and to achieve education, and then together we can build this bridge, which eventually also will have a positive impact over India as well as over Israel.
Yes, you mentioned about head hunting, right? So how's the recruitment process? What are the challenges you face? And qualifying in order to offer them to Israeli startups. So talk about that.
Well, this is the core of our activity these days, specifically also the core of my activity these days. And this is one of there are two challenges in the company, I think. This is one of them. One of them is really finding the right talents who share the right values with us and have the motivation that we need from our team members. At its essence, it is basically the same recruiting process as we have, let's say, here in Israel or the US. We basically gather, we put a job post, we gather applicants, and we are starting screening process, which is composed from live interviews, video interviews, group discussions, projects that we give them to be able to assess their professional skills. But the challenge is, again, that this is like a big number, big data challenge. So it's not, if you post a job here in Israel, maybe we'll get several hundreds, 100, 200 applicants, and you can very quickly and easily screen them according to their metadata. When we talk about India, it's not the same. It's much more difficult even to build the metadata, in order to assess them. And you cannot assess someone without speaking with him. It is extremely difficult to assess someone without speaking with him. So that means that you need to spend a lot of time on video interviewing and making professional assessment through video. And I'll explain why. Due to the fact that the population in India is so diverse, you cannot, let's say, judge someone if he didn't go to the best university, because many of them don't have the option, the financial option, to go to the best universities.
Yeah.
In many cases, we found amazingly talented, smart, motivated engineers who studied in not in the top universities, in some local education programs, but they have huge knowledge and they are the most motivated, and everything, they learn by themselves. Today, education is very accessible for everyone. You don't need to go to university to know how to script Python, and you don't need to go to university in order to know how to set up correctly, an AWS infrastructure. You just need to be motivated and eager to learn it, and then all the resources are out there. Okay, whether it is on Udemy, on the resources pages of the companies that offer these services. And for that reason, and these are eventually also the best people for us in all aspects. Okay, in all aspects, these are the best people for us. So I would say that the initial screening process is much more, it requires much more resources than recruiting here in Israel. So, if we wrap it up, here in Israel, I believe that you can screen 200, let's say 100 candidates. You can shortlist them into a list of 10 final candidates, I would say maybe in a day. Okay, in India, in order to shortlist 100 candidates, it will require I guess 1 week if you want to achieve the same results. Okay, of course I can shortlist it like in 1 minute, but if I want to achieve the same results, I would have need like 1 week, because I needed to go one by one. Not necessarily not one by one, but it will require much more time and effort, and in order to do it correctly.
So you said you go on interviews and group discussions. What values are you looking for? So, well, those listeners would know, what are you looking for? And also the market, they would know, what are their values?
Yes. So first, I think that the thing that we are looking the most, let's talk about group discussions or video interviews that we do with them, is the passion for what they do. Okay, if they are passionate about what they do, about their profession, then basically I believe that all the other things can be learned, or we can give them the opportunity to gain other skills. But passion is something that is much more difficult for us to make someone passionate about what he do. So I think this is the thing that we are looking for the most. We want to see someone who is updated in the latest trends, in the latest releases that different services published. And maybe this is the most important value for us when we look for candidates. As a company, we have a different set of values that we present to our clients, that we present to our partners. So these are basically two different things. Okay.
You said clients as partners. Okay, who do you offer the solution to? Who can benefit from what you're offering?
Yes. So right today, as I mentioned, we offer DEVOPS as a service to early stage startups here in Israel. Why early stage startups? Because, as I mentioned, the situation in the local industry today is that there were so much investments in the previous year. So many companies who raised over $100 million, and there are so many open job vacancies that are available in the market, and it is really a bloodbath. Over the recruiting market is really a bloodbath. Everyone are fighting for the same employees, bidding a higher salary, trying to win basically the same employees. The sector, I would say, that suffered from it the most are the early stage startups. mainly seed round startups who are right in the middle between completing successfully the first POC and moving to build basically a production grade product and optimizing the product towards eventually starting the growth phase. These companies are facing significant challenges in recruiting strong team members because, you know, there are companies in the market like Fiverr, Wix, Monday.com. All of these companies basically are very strong competitors over talents. And eventually, if you are an early stage startup who just raised the seed round, it will be very challenging for you basically to beat them and to recruit the right team member. So what we offer basically is we focus on the DevOps position. Okay, right now we can't solve all of the position for the company, but we can tell them, look, for the DevOps workload, don't worry about it. Don't try to recruit someone because there aren't any available DevOps there in the market. They are all basically working somewhere. Okay, so we are telling them we build this platform in India. We have a subsidiary in India. We recruit DevOps. We train them to work with the Israeli CTOs. We will give you the DevOps team that you need, and we'll take charge of your entire DevOps workload. And luckily, and I'm happy to say that it works really well. First of all, the need, without a doubt, is out there. We see that every day that people need this solution because they don't have any solution available, and also the companies that we work with experience great progress, you know, in their in executing their work plan, because the situation until the point that we go into the company, go into the client, is that there is like a full stack developer who is responsible both for his for different aspects of the product, but at the same time, you also need to take care of the cloud infrastructure, automation, CI/CD, and so on. And he needs to split his attention between these two domains. And as a full stack developer, is much more familiar in developing the code for the product rather than to build the infrastructure and the automation as a DevOps. But basically he's doing that because they don't have a choice, okay? Because they don't find any DevOps out there to hire. And we are telling them, look, you're wasting his time. Let this full stack developer focus only on the product, okay? With the rest of the R&D team, and we will take care over the entire DevOps workload by ourselves. And that works really well. Today, we have great tools to work remotely like that with Zoom, Teams. We also use other collaboration tools to make it more efficient. Hopefully, we'll be able to grow and to build more DevOps teams and to help more startups to basically to operate better, more efficiently. And also hopefully in the future to expand to more functions that are required. For example, we recently started helping companies also to issue the ISO 27001 certificate. So we are starting also to help them with security compliance aspect for the companies. We are also setting up now the NOC department, okay? So we will basically be able to monitor their infrastructure 24/7, and they will be able to, to sleep tight and not to take care of their infrastructure at night and holidays and weekends. So gradually we are building more and more operations, okay? And offering them to our clients, so they can progress faster, focus on the product and make faster progress.
Your IAMOPS DevOps team, you mentioned about Fiverr, right? Other outsourcing agencies or local consultants. So how are you better? What's the difference?
Oh, We are much better. No, I'll tell you what, okay? You know what? You asked about the Indian market and how we experience it. So let's focus, for example, on the Indian market, only on the specifically on the freelancing market, okay?
Okay.
So people need to understand, I mean, employers need to understand that freelancing or consultancy is, they are basically they work based on a business model which is not, it doesn't put eventually the client at the top priority. Why? Because freelancers and other consulting firms, basically their goal is to maximize the revenue, right? And you can do that only by taking more and more workload eventually to handle, right? So what happens eventually in the freelancing market is that they are taking tasks, they are taking projects, but they don't do it by themselves. They pass it to someone else. Okay, so this is one significant disadvantage, that eventually the stronger freelancer are not those who are actually doing the work. Those are the best salesmen, okay, that are basically, they are the best convincers in the market to convince the clients, I will do it, and I will do it on the best, I will do it better than anyone else, but eventually they don't do it by themselves, they pass the project. So this is one aspect. Second aspect, you need to understand one thing. The best for professionals want to be employees. And this is something very, mainly in India, okay? People want payslip because eventually they want to take mortgage, okay? People want the like income, they want to be confident that every month they will have an income. And eventually, if you compare the freelancing market and the employment market, you will find better employees, better talents on the employment market. Okay, so I don't think, I mean, for now, unless Fiverr and Upwork will offer, an employment concept, which is something that they might do in the future. I think it will be right for them and difficult for us. But I mean, you will never get the same service. I mean, it's good for starters. Okay, it's good if you are just like an entrepreneur who just started and needs some assistance. It is good. You can ask for this. You can find great talents in these platforms. But I think when you speak about companies who already has like an IP, who wants to act securely, who wants to make sure that they are getting a certain level of SLA, I think that eventually you must engage with the type of service providers that was built exactly for your own needs. Okay, and this is why we are saying, look, we are not the best fit for entrepreneurs who just started their company. Okay, who just have like a vision, even if they have some money. Usually, we are telling them, you are too early stage for us. We will be too expensive for you. Okay, this is on the one hand. On the other hand, we are also not directing or addressing corporates for the same reason. We will not build, and we did not design our teams basically to be the best fit for corporates. We were built and we designed our teams to be the best fit for early stage startups, mainly seed, round A, companies who are in the phase of going from POC to production grade company, and then also in the first steps in their growth phase. Okay, this is where we are targeted. It is very like narrow target market, and by narrowing our target market, that's what enable us really to eventually offer the best SLA in the market. And I'll just give you an example. Right now, these days, we are negotiating with one of the biggest corporates in Israel, and they really want us to work for them and do them a project. And we are all the time saying them, we are not the best fit for you. We don't want this project. Go and find another contractor. Now, they know the SLA that we provide to our customers, so they're really, taking us with both hands and asking us to basically offer them the same SLA, because they know that it is very difficult to find this SLA in the market. But yes, we are not afraid to telling customers that we are not the best fit for them if this is what we think that is the truth. I can tell you that I think as every company at the beginning of the road, you basically want to take everything that is out there available because you just want clients to start work with. And at the beginning of the road, we did take some projects that were not the best fit for us, and we will not be the best fit for these projects. And I'm happy to say that today, this phase is behind us. I think this phase is always there. It's natural to have this phase in which you are taking projects and clients which are not the best fit for you, and you're not the best fit for them. But I'm happy to say that today we are in the situation in which we can say to customers that we are not the best fit for you. Okay, and without that be something negative about us. Otherwise, we are saying we are not the best fit for you because we are pretty confident that we know who we are the best fit for, and this is where we want to focus, and this is how we want basically to grow.
So you niche down, your target market, who needs the product the most. And you mentioned about the advantage of hiring freelancers, it's very easy, but here you are onboarding a team, right? A DevOps team. So how easy is it to onboard a team?
I think onboarding a team is much easier than onboarding a single talent. Okay, let's say that we were a company that offers single talents. Okay, every time we will say we need a developer, we have a developer, please take this developer and start working together. Okay, I think the fact that we are onboarding a team makes it much more easy, and this is also why we are basically offering DevOps teams and not a DevOps talent, and I'll explain why. Our DevOps team basically includes the head of DevOps. Okay, he is the one that is responsible for the best practice implementation. Okay, that the solution that we offer will be the best practice, and the CTO, the company's CTO, our client CTO, will have someone to speak with, which will give him full confidence that this is the best solution for them. Okay, other than the heads of DevOps, there are two more team members. Okay, one team member who is cloud operations expert, okay, DevOps with cloud operation expertise, and another DevOps who has the automation expertise. Automation, CI/CD, scripting, mainly, he's familiar with the technology stack of Terraform, Python, and so on. The combination of these three professionals enable us to go into a project without and minimizing our minimizing the areas in which we don't have any expertise. Imagine if we would join to a company to a client as their DevOps, and they needed a wide range of knowledge. In the most cases, we would have been familiar only with a specific part of the technologies that they use. When we are coming as a team of 3 people, each one has a different type of expertise. Basically, we are optimizing our knowledge kit, okay, our knowledge backpack, and we are able to come to meetings. And then if now the conversation is about automation, then the automation DevOps will be more significant in this discussion. Of course, the head of DevOps is always very active and always give his inputs about the best practice solution, and also know how to manage his different resources in the company. So that's why I think it is much more easy to come as a team rather than as an individual. Okay, so I think this is one also of our differentiations when we speak about when we compare ourselves to other service providers in the industry.
Okay, like avoiding this, do you call it the single point of failure?
Yes, this is what we call the single point of failure. Exactly, this is exactly it. It is very natural, mainly these days, to be sick or to go to a vacation. And DevOps is a position which is so significant, that you cannot afford yourself that your DevOps will be sick or he will be like, in a vacation in the Philippines. So you always need someone, you always need your DevOps there. You always need someone who will know how to prevent downtime, or if a downtime happens, how to basically set up things quickly in order to create this continuity in your business operations. So when you build a team, okay, you basically minimize the risk of one point of failure.
Okay. And the head of DevOps is Roy. Hello, Roy. So we hope to bring you here soon. Okay. Talk to us about trust. Yeah, like okay, maybe they're gonna be working with Roy plus or with the DevOps team in India. So how important is trust? How can you guarantee the information? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So first of all, trust and confidence. These are the two most important ingredients that we need to maintain, and this is the most important thing that need to be there in the engagement with our clients. If this is the first thing that we build, before building the infrastructure, we need to build trust and confidence. And if we lose trust and confidence, we might lose the engagement, because you cannot work in the DevOps position if the CTO don't trust you. Okay. It's true that Roy is the head of DevOps now, but I'm happy to say that since we are growing, we are also training new staff to become the heads of DevOps. We are happy to see that CTOs embrace and are open-minded to have a head of DevOps who are from India. I think this is one of our main achievements, because that mainly for me, as a co-founder in this company, was one of the things that I was worried about. I was worried about what if we cannot scale up from that point that only Roy is the head of DevOps, because in that case, basically the company cannot scale, right? We have like a ceiling, a glass ceiling that we cannot pass. But I'm happy to see that we are succeeding in overcoming this challenge, and to train more heads of DevOps other than Roy, and to have CTOs work directly with other heads of DevOps. And the thing that we always say to them is that, yes, trust and confidence, this is the thing that you are responsible for. I mean, that is it. That is the core, basically, of our business. And this is what we are not
Amazing.
building and maintaining a cloud infrastructure. We're building and maintaining trust and confidence for CTOs, that basically their DevOps workload is always being taken care of by us, and that we are doing our best to minimize downtime, and that we are doing our best to implement the best practice that are basically are there in the market. And this is what we are selling, this is what we are offering, this is what we are providing to CTOs of early stage startups in Israel.
Okay, first, that's amazing. And I'm so happy to hear that. The scaling. And okay, like you're really bridging the gap. You mentioned about before it was only Roy, but slowly it's opening up. I mean, they're being more open to just talking with our Indian counterparts. So please share with us a story. I mean, or a story about that. Like before it was like this, but now they do this, or they interest this, something like that.
Yes. So, actually, this happens almost every day. That there is some kind of a professional discussion with our clients and us, a regular weekly DevOps meeting. And then, after the meeting, the client send us, wow, he's very strong or she's very strong, and they have a lot of knowledge. So this is one type of responses that we get. Second response we get, which is basically the best response, is companies who started with us as, please take care of my DevOps workload, mainly on the cloud operations. And then they also wanted NOC, SRE, NOC 24/7 services, monitoring services, ISO 27001. They wanted to issue for them the ISO 27001. And they are also asking, for DBA, find me a DBA, database administrator. I want him for my team. And this is basically the best response from them, the best feedback, because they're saying your solution works well in the DevOps part. Why shouldn't I use it in other parts of my operation? Nice. And I will focus on. They want to focus on recruiting, full stack developers for the core team, which is physically sitting all together, in some office here in Israel. But they're saying, look, many parts of my operations, IAMOPS can take care of that.
Wow.
So please, we want to expand the engagement with you. Again, only yesterday I sent another engagement letter to one of our customers who wanted like compliance officer as a service. So this is something that I'm very happy when it happens. It is even, I don't know what, there are two ways growing your business, right? One is having new clients. The other one is having an existing client purchasing more services from you, which is like organic growth. I think both of them makes you happy when they happened, right, as a business owner. But the one that happens as an organic growth is very good because it makes you realize that you are doing good what you are doing.
They like you. Okay, and all right. How have you grown? How has IAMOPS grown from 2018, right? 2 years ago. No, 2019. Yes, 2 years ago. Where are you on your journey? And what's the road ahead?
Basically, 2 years ago, we started as 3 team members. We started as 2 team members. Basically, it was me and Roy. And then very quickly, Nick can join us. Okay, so we can say that like 2 months, 3 months after, even less, I think it was like 1 month or 2 months after we started, Nick can already join us. So, and that was around February 2020. Fast forward to almost February 2022. We are almost 25 team members.
Wow.
And we are 25 team members. It's important to say without, any external investment or something. Everything is happening from our own business activity yields. And I think it's a huge achievement for us. I'm happy that this is this is the situation. And by the end of this year, we aim to grow to a team of 50.
Double it.
Yeah, almost double it. The production team will be around 70 to 80% of this team. Production team, DevOps team, and other service-related positions. That is it. We hope to grow as much as possible and to maintain the level of service that we currently offer.
Yes, so I am very happy to hear that. And yes, of course, to be a part of IAMOPS, I'm so happy. As a CEO of a distributed team, okay, first, what do you like about it? What do you enjoy?
Okay, so first of all, we were a distributed team. I mean, we used to say that we are a distributed team like 1 year ago, when we were like 40 members in the Philippines, 40 members in India, 2 team members in Israel. But today, I think we are much less as a distributed team. Our team is mainly located in India, in Surat, and we are 2 team members here in Israel, and I think we are 3 team members in the Philippines, right? And all the rest are in India. So we are basically an Israeli-Indian company with a strong team also in the Philippines.
You can say that.
Yeah, so we are an Israeli-Indian company. This is, I think, the best way to phrase it today in 2022. I'm happy. I'm happy that this is how it turns out. 2 days ago, I had one of my daughter invited her a friend from the kindergarten. Okay, and she came with her father, and then her father and I discussed, and he told me that he's part of his business. He need to travel a lot abroad. He's also a business owner, and this is how his business operates. And he told me that he's very happy that this is how it turns to be, because when he was a kid, this is how he imagined his life. He wanted to be someone who traveled a lot for work. And I think I can say also the same. I think when I was a kid, one of the things that I wanted for my life is to be someone who travels, okay, who see the world during his work. One of the benefits of his work and what he does is to see the world and to experience new cultures and to meet new people from different places. And I think that we started this journey only by Zoom and Teams. We met the Philippines teams and we met the Indian team, and we are building it together. And also lately, we started traveling abroad and to feel it physically. And I'm very happy that this is how IAMOPS basically becomes to be.
And more to come, more travels to come, especially after this. Post-COVID.
Into the Philippines.
You should. Okay. So thank you very much, Eyal. And of course, it's amazing to have you here on the IAM Podcast. This podcast is powered by IAMOPS.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with IAMOPS.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.iamops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.iamops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.